My name is Marissa Vance. I was 23 years old and I almost walked into a trap set on Tinder by someone who knew exactly where I lived before I ever gave him my address. I decided to scope the house out first. That decision is the only reason I am here to tell this story. Keep listening because I am going to tell you about 4 people who saw the warning signs in time, and then I am going to tell you about 3 who did not. Luke from Tinder. I want to start by being honest about the situation I was in. I was 23, newly single, and I was on Tinder looking for something casual. I am not embarrassed by that. A lot of people use dating apps for exactly that reason, and most of the time nothing bad happens. I matched with a guy named Luke. His profile said he was 25, lived nearby, worked in construction. His photos looked normal. Not model attractive, just a regular-looking guy. We started talking, and it went well. Easy conversation. We talked about music and sports and the usual getting to know you stuff. After a while, the chat shifted to something more direct. I told him what I was looking for. He said the same. He mentioned he had the place to himself that night and asked if I wanted to come over. I said maybe. I asked where he lived. Here is the thing that I did not think about until later. Before he gave me the address, he asked what part of town I was from. Just casual, like he was curious. I told him. Then he gave me his address. It was a 10-minute walk from my apartment. That could be a coincidence. I told myself it was a coincidence. I said I might come by later and I put my phone down. But something was sitting wrong with me. I could not name it exactly. Just a low, uncomfortable feeling. The kind you get when a small thing is slightly off and you cannot quite explain why. I decided to walk by the house first. Not to go in, just to look at it from the outside and get a feel for the situation before committing to anything. I told myself plenty of people do this. It is just basic caution. It was late, around 11 at night. The neighborhood was quiet. Most of the houses had their lights off. I walked down the block, slowly checking the numbers on the mailboxes. I found the address. There were 3 cars outside, 2 in the driveway and 1 parked on the street in front. Every light in the house was off. Not a single room lit. No blue flicker from a TV. No porch light. The house looked completely empty and had for some time. Luke had said he was home alone. He had implied he would be waiting for me. This did not look like a house where anyone was home waiting for anything. I stood on the sidewalk for about 30 seconds and then I took out my phone and texted him, "I am almost there." His reply came within about a minute. He said, "Oh, you are early, almost ready. Walk slow." I turned around and started walking back the way I had come. Not running. I did not want to look panicked. I walked at a pace that seemed normal but was moving me back toward my neighborhood. Then I heard a car behind me. I turned around. A white van was turning onto the street with no headlights on, moving slowly, the way a car moves when the driver is looking for something specific. I pressed myself against the side of the nearest house and watched it from the shadow there. The van rolled past the house with 3 cars in front of it and pulled over about 4 houses down. The engine stayed running. Nobody got out. It just sat there in the dark with the engine running and no lights. My phone buzzed. Luke again. He said, "Okay, I am ready. Let me know when you are on my block. I will come out." I did not reply. I turned away from the street and stayed close to the houses as I walked. Not on the sidewalk, not near the road. I moved as fast as I could without breaking into a run that would make noise. I got home and locked the door and blocked the number and reported the Tinder profile. The next morning I went to that address with my mother. A woman answered the door. She had lived there for 11 years. She said she had no sons. She had never heard of anyone named Luke. My mother drove me to the police station and I filed a report. The officer I spoke with was careful not to say anything definitive, but the way she looked at me when I described the van sitting there with no lights was enough. She said I had been right to trust the feeling. I think about the van a lot. Parked in the dark with the engine running and nobody coming out, waiting. For what exactly, I do not know. I do not want to know. But I know that if I had been standing on that sidewalk instead of pressed against the side of a house when it turned onto the street, the night would have gone differently. The dirt path in the park. The second story is one I heard from a guy I know. His name is Chaz, and he is the kind of person who assumes the best about situations until they become impossible to read that way. He told me this story and said I could share it. He wanted people to understand what certain patterns on dating apps actually mean in practice. Chaz matched with what appeared to be two girls on Tinder. The profile had two people in the photo, both around his age. They chatted for a while and the conversation moved toward meeting up. The profile kept steering the meetup away from anywhere public. First, it was one person's house, but parents were home. Then the other person's house, same issue. Then the suggestion was a park, a specific spot in the park, a dirt path near a statue that was used for dog walking during the day, but would be empty at night. Chaz pushed back a little. He asked why not just meet at a coffee place or a bar. The profile had an answer for every suggestion he made. He said later that it felt like a conversation with a script. Like whatever he said, there was already a prepared response waiting. He agreed to meet at the park. He told himself he was overthinking it. He got there and messaged to say he had arrived. He waited. He sent another message. The response came back asking where exactly he was. He described the statue and the dirt path. The reply came back saying they were on their way. He stood there in the dark on that path for several minutes. The park around him was empty. No lights except his phone screen. He sent a final message asking if they were close. The profile unmatched him, gone completely mid-conversation. He stood there on that dirt path in the dark, knowing something was wrong, but not yet knowing exactly how wrong. Then he heard something in the woods to his left, the crack of a twig under weight, then leaves shifting, the sound of something moving through undergrowth that was trying to be quiet and not quite succeeding. Chaz turned on his phone camera and started recording. He pointed the light into the trees toward where the sound had come from. The footage shows exactly what happened next. The light catches a figure in the trees. The figure registers the light, and then it comes out of the trees fast, running directly at Chaz. He killed his light and ran. He went into the trees on the other side of the path and crouched down and stayed completely still. He could hear someone moving around nearby, but could not see them. He started recording again when the sounds moved away. He made his way out of the park, staying off the paths, and got back to his car. He sat in the locked car and looked at the footage on his phone for a long moment. He reported the profile to Tinder. Tinder responded that they could not find any profile matching his description. He said later that the thing that stayed with him was not the person running at him from the trees. It was the profile disappearing at the exact moment he arrived. The precise timing of it. You are there. You are in the spot we told you to go. You are alone. Now we do not need the profile anymore. He said that timing was planned. He had been delivered to that spot and the app was just the delivery mechanism. The shed in Clearfield. The third story involves two friends of mine. I will call them Maddie and Lauren. Maddie found a strange profile on Tinder. It claimed to be organizing a paid stunt for a YouTube video, offering between $50 and $100 to anyone willing to participate. The profile was listed in a town about 40 minutes away. Maddie was skeptical, but the money was real money in a lean month. She messaged me and asked if I would come with her as a precaution. I said yes. We drove to Clearfield. The address led to a hotel. We sat in the parking lot for close to an hour. The person messaging Maddie kept saying they were almost there. Then they said they were running late. Then they said to sit tight. Then they changed the location. Instead of the hotel come to the house, they gave an address. I did not love that, but we were already there, and I figured if anything felt wrong when we arrived, we would just leave. The house was on a main road. Big, normal-looking, no obvious problems from the street. I exhaled a little. Then I saw the shed. It was behind the house, set back from the driveway, a wood structure with a single door, and standing in that doorway looking at us as we pulled in was a man. He was not the man from the Tinder photos. He was thin, almost gaunt, with long hair and the kind of restless energy that made me feel alert in a way I could not fully explain. Maddie told me to wait in the car. She was going to go talk to him. I watched her walk up to the shed door. I watched her ask him something. I watched his face change when she said she had brought a friend along. I got out of the car. Inside the shed was nothing like the setup for a YouTube video. It was cluttered, boxes stacked against the walls, random items in no particular order, a toilet sitting in the corner unattached to anything. The man had a laptop open and was setting it up to record, moving with quick, jerky motions that made me think of someone who had not slept in a while. I noticed he had Snapchat open on the computer. The name Chelsea, the so-called second person running the account, was messaging him from it. He was messaging back on the same computer. One person, two accounts. The entire setup of multiple participants had been one person running two screens. After the business part of the visit was done, he asked in a quiet voice whether we smoked and whether we had plans for the night. His tone had shifted. He was not looking at Maddie when he asked. He was looking past her. We said no and that we needed to go. We left. In the car, Maddie told me something she had not mentioned before the visit. Before we arrived, the Chelsea account had offered to book a hotel room for her and buy her dinner. Just for her. Just come alone, and we will take care of everything. I sat with that in the car and felt cold. I do not know what was planned for that shed. I do not know what was planned for the hotel. I think about it sometimes and I stop thinking about it deliberately because I know where that line of thought leads. What I know is that there were two of us and we had a car and we left when we wanted to. Those three things together are why we went home that night. The wrong car. The fourth story is Jeremy's. He told it to me himself. He matched on Tinder with a girl he recognized from high school. Same name, same face, same general backstory. They talked about people they had both known and places they both remembered. It felt completely real. They agreed to meet at a parking lot behind a strip mall near midnight. Quiet area, no foot traffic at that hour. Jeremy was there first. He waited for about 20 minutes. Headlights appeared. A car pulled in slowly and stopped not far from his. He got a snap from her account. It showed a photo of his car with a caption saying she thought she could see him. He stepped out of his vehicle. The car that had pulled in was a small Honda, maybe a Hyundai, compact, dark-colored. The girl in the photos drove a Jeep Cherokee. It had been all over her Instagram. There was no mistaking the difference. Jeremy got back in his car immediately. He tried to message the Tinder account while the car across the lot started honking at him. Short, repeated honks. He pulled out of the lot without looking back and got on the highway. The car followed him onto the highway, kept pace for several miles, honking periodically, then fell back and disappeared. Jeremy pulled over and sent a DM to the real girl's Instagram account. Explained the situation, sent screenshots. She replied quickly. She confirmed she had not made a Tinder profile. She confirmed she had not been in a parking lot that night. She had no idea who had been using her face and name. Jeremy never found out who was in that Honda. He never found out what the plan had been for that parking lot behind the strip mall after midnight. He said the honking was the thing that stayed with him. Patient, persistent honking from a car that would not move and would not leave. Like someone who was very certain they were going to get what they came for and was willing to wait. When it did not end. In a parking lot, I want to shift here and speak carefully. The four stories I just told you all ended with the person going home safely. Marissa ran. Chaz ran. Lauren and Maddie drove away. Jeremy got on the highway. But I would not be honest with you if I let this video end without acknowledging the cases where the same pattern played out and nobody ran. Warriena Wright was 26 years old. She matched with a man on Tinder in Brisbane, Australia in 2014. They went on a date that ended at his apartment on the 14th floor. She never made it home. She fell from his balcony in the early hours of the morning while trying to escape. The man was acquitted of all charges. Audio from inside the apartment that night was played in court. It recorded the sound of a woman terrified and trying to leave, and a man who would not let her. Joy Pipple was 39 years old. She lived in Sydney and had recently ended an abusive marriage. She matched a man on Tinder in March of 2016. They went to dinner at a Korean barbecue restaurant. Her estranged husband had followed her there. He stabbed her date 11 times at the table and stabbed Joy twice when she tried to stop him. Her date died on the restaurant floor. Joy survived. Her ex-husband had told her years earlier that he would kill her if she ever started seeing someone new. He waited and then he followed through. In 2017, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison. Grace Mullane was 21 years old. She was traveling through Auckland, New Zealand in December of 2018. She matched with a man named Jesse on Tinder. They spent an evening together at several bars, and the footage from those venues shows two people on what appeared to be a good date. She sent a message to a friend that night saying the date was going really well, and she felt a connection with him. That message was the last contact anyone had from Grace. The next morning, Jesse purchased cleaning supplies in a large suitcase. He went on another Tinder date the following day. He was convicted of Grace's murder and sentenced to life in prison. Police found her buried in the Waitakere mountain ranges. She had been 21 years old. The day after she disappeared was her 22nd birthday. I am not telling you these stories to frighten you without purpose. I am telling you because when we talk about red flags and warning signs and trusting your instincts, we are talking about the distance between Marissa's outcome and Grace's outcome. Grace sent a message saying she was having a great time. There was no warning sign she could have seen from inside that evening. The threat was not visible. That is the honest and difficult truth about this. Sometimes you do everything right and the danger is not something you could have detected. That is not a comforting thing to say, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. What I can say is this: the stories where people made it home had a common thread. They noticed small inconsistencies and acted on them. Marissa trusted a feeling and walked past the house first. Chaz started recording the moment the account disappeared. Jeremy noticed the wrong car before he got in it. None of those things were dramatic. None of them required special training or unusual courage. They just required paying attention to a small, uncomfortable feeling and taking it seriously before the moment passed. Before every first meeting from a dating app, tell someone where you are going and who you are meeting. Share a screenshot of the profile. Agree on a check-in time. Meet somewhere public with people around. Trust the small, uncomfortable feelings before they become something larger. Marissa is here. Grace is not. The difference between those two outcomes is the thing I cannot stop thinking about. I hope you cannot either.